regularly scheduled programming will not be seen at this time in order to bring you the following KOTV special feature. Tonight, your locally owned station celebrates 75 years.
That's the way in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Relive unforgettable moments with Terry Hood, Rick Wells,
great memories,
Glenda Sylvie, Beth Rengel.
I don't know if anybody knows this.
John Walls, Scott Thompson, Kim Graham.
It's a homecoming.
Lisa Jones, Dick Farrow.
Hallelujah.
John Anderson, and more.
KOTV Channel 6, the first one you turn to.
This is the Channel 6 Late Evening News.
With everything that Tulsa means to you.
Spirit, you got the spirit of Oklahoma.
'75 on 6, a celebration of Oklahoma's own. Presented by Green Phoenix Roofing and Remodeling.
Good evening, Oklahoma. We invite you to gather around your TVs, as you have for the past 75 years.
We're going to look back at the stories you remember and catch up with friends you can't forget.
Our state has changed a lot since 1949.
We've seen the best in people, even in the worst of times.
Tonight, we'll celebrate the victories.
And remember those we met along the way.
From the events that tore us apart to the moments that brought us together, you've seen it all on Channel 6.
This is a very strong tornado.
Reports have just come out about a possible active shooter at the Warren Clinic.
The first sitting president to visit Greenwood.
The search for victims from the 1921 Tulsa race massacre.
Air Force One plans to arrive shortly.
You see this happening live?
Coverage of the COVID-19 situation in Oklahoma.
Historic release of water.
Evacuate now.
We are so excited.
Save our schools!
Teachers rally at the state capitol.
Shots rang out just outside the Tulsa County Courthouse.
Generations of Oklahomans will have a place to see top talent.
Statewide state of emergency.
The local angle of the attack on America.
We all realize we're seeing history being made today.
Until today, this had been the site of the worst terrorist attack on American soil.
Death sentence for Timothy McVeigh.
It happened in Oklahoma, in America's heartland.
Tornado indicated, let me show you Pathfinder's path, Oolaga at 9:38.
A record for teachers rally in Oklahoma.
Tulsans are preparing for the full force of the flood.
He thinks the Wheeler killing had Oklahoma gang connections.
The Girl Scout murders are a story without an ending.
The Oklahoma Sooners have beaten the Longhorns of Texas.
The worst tornadoes in Tulsa's recorded weather history.
The raft race overall has been a great success.
The destruction from the riot has been cleaned up.
38-year-old American standing on the surface of the moon.
It hadn't been so very long ago that you were back in Sapulpa. What do you think the general feeling is back there about the war here in Vietnam?
Pitcher is taking the cave-in in stride.
Miss Goggins, why are you going to Selma next week?
News as it happens. And so it goes around the world, around the clock.
This is what television looked like October 15th, 1949. The first image broadcast to viewers in northeastern Oklahoma was this simple test pattern. That test pattern would soon give way to a world of moving pictures and sound. As the only station in town, Channel 6 could air shows from all the major networks. The local programs were produced out of a converted International Harvester dealership at the corner of 3rd and Frankfort. At the time, it was the largest TV studio in the country and would serve as the station's headquarters for 64 years. The woman who got KOTV on the air was the first woman in America to become a CEO in television. She became a millionaire before she was 30. Working with station owner George Cameron, Maria Helen Alvarez got the transmitter up and running before her competitors even knew she had filed for a license. Time magazine dubbed her Helen of Tulsa, and she is the first of several Tulsa TV pioneers.
Good evening, everyone. This is Cy Tuma.
70 years ago, Cy Tuma anchored our 5th anniversary special full of interviews with employees and performances. Cy was known as Mr. News, but the news desk hid the fact that Cy was a paraplegic. His legs were crippled by polio. Before Cy sat behind the desk, Bob Hauer anchored Tulsa's first television newscast in 1949.
I just read wire copy.
There were no visuals.
Bob did more than anchor the news. In those early days, he also read live commercials.
I've always considered Channel 6 my home base and the place where I got the best advice I've ever had, which was just be yourself.
Betty Boyd also got her start on Channel 6. She hosted a daily women's show in the 50s and was adamant about not cooking on TV. Betty went on to serve Oklahomans as a legislator in the State House of Representatives for 10 years.
KOTV gave me a wonderful opportunity, and bless their hearts, I don't know why they did it, because I had no training, no talent. I didn't have anything but a gray streak in my hair, and I guess they thought that was cute.
Bob and Betty would leave an impact on Tulsans beyond the TV screen. The pair, loved by this community, were named Tulsa's Centennial King and Queen in 1997, setting the foundation for our future as Tulsa's TV pioneers.
Channel 6 is part of the fabric of Oklahoma. It only makes sense Tulsa's original station was featured in the Tulsa original movie, The Outsiders. Throughout this hour, we'll celebrate the station's rich history, relive special moments, and make new memories. We'll get cooking with Kim Graham. And go fishing with Dick Farrow.
Another bluegill.
That's just the beginning.
Oh my goodness, the practical jokes.
And this guy comes up to me and he said, I grew up watching you on TV. And I said, I hope I didn't stunt your growth.
You can't do live TV every day for 75 years without making a few mistakes along the way. We'll take a look at some of the funnier moments throughout the hour. And as long as we're looking at bloopers, we might as well start with me.
A look at your country weather and 15 week of forecast. Let's do that.
Good evening, I'm Clayton Vaughn. And you're... Who are you? Good evening, I'm Clayton Vaughn.
And I'm... It's a fun, so I hope... Oh, goodness. Live studio right here. I like blue, that's what that was.
We're looking good, we're looking good, everywhere we're looking good, we're looking good. We're Channel 6, we're looking good, on Channel 6, we're looking good. Take a look, we're looking good.
In KOTV's early days, network programming only filled a few hours of the day.
That left Channel 6 to figure out what to do with the rest. There were local kids shows and game shows and talk shows. Lewis Meyer's Bookshelf first aired in 1953 and became the longest running show of its kind in the country. He was a staple on Channel 6 until his death in 1995.
Let me tell you a story about Mark Twain.
The 1970s brought the memorable Dance Party, Tulsa's answer to American Bandstand.
In color on KOTV.
And who can forget Mazeppa? The late-night sketches featuring Gaylord Sartain and Gary Busey.
My first appearance on Channel 6 was on a show called Tulsa Afternoon back in 1982.
Today's National Flashlight Day,
Yeah.
and this is also my debut.
Yes. Memorable local programming continued into the 1990s with Sam Jones' late-night talk show.
All right, let me tell you what you get.
For several years, KOTV hosted a singing competition called Gimme the Mic, which I got to host. And, of course, there were cooking shows.
Since the beginning, we've brought you the sights, sounds, and flavors of our area. One of the first shows to air on Channel 6 was called Lookin' at Cookin'. It was renamed Coffee Break in the 1960s and 70s when the station would send out recipes to anyone who wrote in.
And maybe you remember Kim Graham. She helped us get cooking with healthy recipes in the 90s. Her segments were so popular, they inspired a series of cookbooks. Our focus on food continues today with Kristen Weaver's Flavor of Oklahoma. Speaking of those old coffee break recipes, some of them have been preserved. Kristen invited Kim back to cook up a taste of the past.
Get Cooking with the News on 6 has got everybody talking.
Happy Friday. Hope you're having a marvelous week. I am absolutely thrilled to be back at Channel 6. This was a wonderful station when I was here all those years ago. It's fabulous now. It is wonderful. Oh, this is wonderful. This is very good. Oprah was on this network, same network, and I saw her doing some cooking segments, and I went to the news director and said, hey, do you think we can do this too? We have a very special sandwich for you today, a Reuben sandwich, yes. Healthy, Reuben.
Low-fat recipes that taste.
Another wonderful but healthy recipe.
It was all about the fat-free, not using butter, kind of sugar-free,
That's
all
true.
of the 90s stuff.
Oh my God, you're making me feel like a dinosaur.
So we're going into the archives here. We're doing a cream cheese chicken salad. We're updating it. We're not using the fat-free this time. It's a special occasion. Do you want to help me and get some of that mayo going in there? And I'll do half a block of this cream cheese. We have relish, pimento, and onion.
Yum.
So that'll all go in there too. You've got the celery
got
handle.
The celery going. I love celery.
You can't go wrong. Gives that crunch too.
Exactly.
Do a dash of this curry powder, and I'll go in with some of the garlic powder here.
Listen at Kristen, she's an expert. Oh my gosh, passing of the torch.
The flavors of Oklahoma.
You go, girl.
I think we're gonna be friends, Kim. This is gonna be great. We have a few more recipes from the cookbooks as well. The first one was the margarita chicken, which that one, Kim, is kind of wild because you marinate the chicken in margarita mix. Do you remember this?
Yes. Party in the kitchen.
One more step back in time. Before Get Cooking, we had coffee break. We have a coffee cake here from 1968.
We started looking at cooking 5 years ago.
That famous program.
Food at KOTV has lived on for years and years.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's one thing that we have in common with our viewers and so forth. It's food. Everybody likes food.
These days, Channel 6 is your home for familiar shows like Entertainment Tonight and popular CBS series.
And for 24 years, Channel 6 brought you Oprah. Over the years, we've been able to go behind the scenes of some of those shows.
I'm on the set of Walker, Texas Ranger.
News on 6 reporter Lisa Jones takes you to the set.
I'm Mike Wallace. I'm Ed Bradley.
And I'm Terry Hood, on assignment with 60 Minutes.
I loved that.
The spirit of Oklahoma. Yes.
Of course, we remember the work, but the relationships.
It was like a family.
Channel 6 is part of the heart of Tulsa.
Those are my new books. We've had our best sellers, and I've given you a quick look.
Good, okay. Oh, whoa! All right. All right.
That's when you know you're doing it right. Took it off the pan to make your sauce.
Looks like, but have you ever actually Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Oh my God.
There's a word for news like this. Important. For stories that really matter, depend on the News on 6.
While the early years of Channel 6 were filled with cooking and kids shows, today our station is built around news.
We've come a long way since the days of Bob Hauer and Cy Tuma, but our goal is still the same, to bring you an honest, complete look at the world.
Here's Emery Bryant.
Good evening, all. Let's look at the news. That simple phrase launched the first TV newscast in Tulsa and laid the foundation for a legacy of leadership. Since October 1949, Channel 6 has been the first one you turn to for news. Perhaps no one shaped KOTV's news legacy more than Clayton Vaughn. Clayton joined the station in 1964 and over 30 years became Tulsa's most respected news anchor.
Oklahoma's veteran broadcast journalist.
Georgia Jones remembers working with Clayton in the early years.
There were times when we would get to laughing so hard on air that they'd have to throw it to a commercial. He was an excellent newsman.
He was the epitome of a brilliant anchorman.
Beth Ringel shared the anchor desk in the 90s.
The deep voice and the wealth of information that he had.
And Lisa Jones anchored with Clayton on his last newscast in 1997.
I really looked at it like it was an honor because growing up, my granddad just loved Clayton Vaughn.
Clayton passed away in 2021 in the city that he loved. His legacy looms large over the newsroom that he helped define, working alongside other giants of local journalism.
There was a lot happening in Tulsa.
Giants like Bill Pitcock and Bob Brown. Until the 1960s, it was mostly men.
I was the only woman in a male
newsroom.
Dale Hogg broke ground as Tulsa TV's first black anchor and reporter in the 1970s.
I was a very fortunate individual to be in the right place at the right time,
paving the way for others to follow.
Good evening. That's tonight's top story. I'm Paul Sorrell.
Over the years, you've welcomed new faces.
One last time, Rick Wells.
And said goodbye to treasured friends.
News on 6.
Many moved on, with a few making it to the pinnacle of network news. But some of the people you invited into your home over the years chose to make Tulsa their home.
The thought of moving to Minnesota, which was one of the big offers, or Denver or Nashville, just never occurred to me. I couldn't do it.
Never left for parts unknown, and always thought I would.
Tulsa became home. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
The people here made me feel welcome, and it's my hometown.
Tulsa is my home.
KOTV Channel 6, the first one you turn to.
The faces have changed, but Tulsa's first television station is still the first one you turn to for news.
In my more than 30 years at News on 6, one story stands out as the biggest and the most tragic. Those of us who covered the Oklahoma City bombing and its aftermath will never forget the victims that we learned about, the families we met, and the Oklahoma standard we saw.
Away from the building! This is the News on 6, a special edition.
No matter what picture you saw, nothing could really convey the horror of what that bomb did to that building.
I think we have all had to stop and cry for a minute at times.
I was doing a live interview with a nurse who had come, and she said they were sending her home, and I said, why?
Because as she put it, the people who were inside, there was nothing they could do for them.
And she said, all I know is I was just told the coroner had sent for 100 body bags.
100 body bags, and it seemed so unbelievable, and you hope against hope that there was something wrong, that could not be true.
And I felt like someone had kicked me in the stomach.
The Oklahoma City bombing, the accused.
Lori Shell and Lisa Jones, who've been covering the trial in Denver.
Lori was there, she lived there, and when she had to come home, I went. It was an honor to be the first news station to say guilty.
The News on 6 special report.
I was on a phone. I was hooked up with Clayton,
verdict,
who's in the studio.
Guilty.
And that's how we got it out. Guilty, guilty, guilty.
Tulsa TV was born at 302 South Frankfort Avenue. A converted International Harvester dealership served as our headquarters for 64 years until the station made the move to the Arts District.
The old building is finding a new life as a spa. Former anchors Terry Hood, Scott Thompson, and Glenda Sylvie went back to the place that holds so much history.
I was always proud of the fact that this was the first television station in Tulsa, that I worked at the first television station in Tulsa.
Most people would probably be surprised at how small the newsroom actually was, especially when the cubicles were in there and the assignments desk up there at one side of the room.
Because it was almost like we were on each other's laps, and so it lent this real camaraderie.
I always took that to heart, that no matter how dirty it is in here and cramped, the work that came out of here was top-notch. The people who worked here surpassed this building. This was just where we met for a few hours a day.
Imagine all the elections, all the breaking news events, all the enormous stories that took place, and the energy in the room that was working on it and feeling it and communicating about it. But I also agree with you, Scott, the enormity of the creativity and the height of the standards of this television station. I know that I worked with some of the most talented people in the field, and that certainly includes the photojournalists, so we're all very proud of that.
Thank goodness for the photojournalists, because they would take you in hand and show you the ropes.
The pictures tell the story that you add the writing to.
For 1,200 years, this land knew only one people.
I found great relief doing the Oklahoma Travelers, because I wanted to show people it's not, everything's not bad news. There are these wonderful people all around the country, all around the state, Oklahomans, in their good-natured ways, doing these remarkable things and thinking nothing of it.
I went to the Holy Land for the footsteps of Jesus. I wish I could go back as a Christian pilgrim rather than working, because there were so many moments that were so awe-inspiring in these sacred places.
But you know what, Glenda, you brought those moments to all of us.
It's one of the greatest experiences of my life, needless to say, interviewing scholars about the life of Jesus and seeing these historic places. Jerusalem was the most extraordinary city I've ever seen.
When I think of Clayton Vaughn and Jim Giles and people like that who were such mentors to so many people. If you trace the broadcast tree of these people, they've had so much impact on journalism across Oklahoma and really the country.
Our cubicles with you, we would all push back our chairs and down the line be talking about meaningful, deep things, as well as very shallow and petty things.
It related back to our connection with each other, though, and our work and things that we would talk about. And it was, I felt so close to you guys. This was a huge connection for me.
It was like a family, and it comes across on the air, and that's why we were successful, and that's why people liked us, is because we liked each other.
Right.
There was no fakery. We didn't have to force anything. We laughed at each other's jokes.
Yes.
And enjoyed each other.
Your jokes in particular were very funny. Good evening. I was very proud to work with the likes of both of you.
Oh, and
seriously, just such talented journalists, and
thank you. And the same to you, Mike.
Well, there was just a lot of pride. There still is a lot of pride in the fact that I spent my career here. I love it.
To use a cliche, if these walls could talk.
Oh my goodness.
Over so many years, the people, the events, the sad times, the happy times, the angry times,
the scandalous times.
Definitely.
And all out of this old building.
It all came out of this old building.
It's just a blessing, the good Lord created all this for us to enjoy.
From Tulsa, this is the KOTV Channel News at 6, Channel 6 News at 6. Good evening.
Good afternoon, I'm Terry Hood.
Police tonight are still looking for a man in his mid-20s who robbed the First National Bank. He carried a small caliber pistol, ordered 3 tellers to empty their drawers into a brown paper. Terry, come on, Kitty.
There's something new on the horizon.
What? You've got a sighting. We've come close before, but we're gonna find it this time. You got it? He's got it!
A whole new way to look at the weather. Advanced Doppler 6.
The way we track weather has changed a lot since KOTV first signed on the air in 1949.
News on 6's first meteorologist, Harry Volkman, would memorize weather data from dozens of cities across the country. And the station's first radar was a black and white screen ripped from a B-17 bomber.
Lee Woodward, who used that radar, was better known for something else, his wisecracking puppet. Long before Travis Meyer ruled the Weather Kingdom, there was King Lionel, who could say things the rest of the on-air team could not. Lionel now lives at the Tulsa Historical Society, and Travis paid a visit to the castle.
Hello, this is Joe DiMaggio. I have to work on that.
It's a different cup of coffee.
Got to work on the forecast too, folks. Look here.
Preserved in tip-top shape, King Lionel still lives a life of royalty with his original castle.
So I would like to present to you King Lionel.
There he is.
There he is.
Oh my goodness.
And while he doesn't have to track the weather anymore in retirement, he still has a full wardrobe on hand for every season.
So for cold weather, he'd wear one of the knitted hats.
His choice of footwear for my visit gave us an instant connection.
You wore cowboy boots.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. That's true Oklahoman, Lionel.
After a career at KOTV lasting a quarter century, Lee Woodward and his witty puppet retired in the early 80s.
Right at the time I was coming into Tulsa is the time that he was taking off.
But you're okay now.
Making appearances like this one at Lights On at Utica Square, Lionel was popular in Tulsa. So popular, Woodward had more puppets made, with several now calling the Tulsa Historical Society home.
And we're happy to preserve them for future generations of Tulsans.
Jim Giles took over as chief meteorologist in 1981 and helped Oklahomans through sunshine and storms for 25 years. Jim oversaw many advances in technology, none more impactful than Pathfinder. The technology was up and running just in time for April 26, 1991, allowing Jim and the team to give a 43-minute warning to people in the path of an F4 tornado that tore through Oologah. Amazingly, no lives were lost.
Good evening, friends. Meteorologist Jim Giles. The tornado indicated, let me show you Doppler 6.
Year after year,
I switched over to Channel 6, and Channel 6 said there was a tornado on the ground.
in storm after storm.
We were watching Channel 6 Doppler Pathfinder radar. We feel like that's what saved our lives.
Saved our lives.
That's why we're alive.
Jim passed away just weeks after he retired in 2006. But technologies like Pathfinder are still in use today at News on 6.
Meteorologist Dick Farrell was a critical part of our weather team for 24 storm seasons. He was a right-hand man for Jim and Travis and a trusted voice for Oklahomans.
Since he retired in 2017, he's had more time to focus on his other passion, fishing. Testimony recently cast a line with our favorite fishermen.
Oh man, I just had a strike right there too.
Catching a big one. That's a fun part of fishing.
Hallelujah. Hey, we got a double.
But the best part comes
I'm going to show you how to tie a knot, okay?
with the memories you make.
You picked out the lure that you caught this fish on.
And longtime News on 6 meteorologist Dick Farrell has been reeling in the memories his whole life.
I grew up in, northwest Oklahoma, a little town of Winoka.
So it didn't take much to talk him into meeting at the Boyd family farm pond near Ramona to catch up.
Am I going to show you how to rig that?
You might. Listen, I'm used to fishing with my hands, not a rod and reel.
His love for the outdoors goes hand in hand with his passion for weather. He spent 42 years as a meteorologist, almost 25 with News on 6.
Well, when I moved to Tulsa, I knew that Okies liked the great outdoors, so I just told them, hey, look, I've got this place where you can go fishing and we can catch some fish, and I think everybody likes to see that.
With that, Fishing with Farrell was born.
I'm hung up on a huge fish. He's got away.
He's hung up on, you can do it, dear.
One of the things that I think really kicked it off as much as anything is when I took Kim Graham and Lisa Jones fishing. That's what we're after, ladies.
It was Kim's first time fishing.
That's what we're going to try to catch.
And while she did pull some catfish out of the pond,
Did you let him steal your bait?
she also threw her pole in.
What was that? Tell me that's not what I thought it was. She liked catching them, but she didn't want to touch them.
He's taken many KOTV co-workers out on the water.
Nice sized fish, little bitty catfish.
We're gonna go
noodling. And in my case, it was in the water.
I know that it's something that you have continued to be involved in for all this time since then. So.
That's always been Dick's goal, to get people outside and spark a love for the outdoors.
And just let people know how blessed we are to have such a beautiful surroundings to enjoy the great outdoors here in Oklahoma.
You had a fish, Dick. I seen it with my eyes.
And because of the foundation he laid, the stories of Oklahoma's hunting and fishing heritage are still being told.
Our lovable four-legged friend with a nose for Oklahoma weather will always be remembered as part of our history. Radar the Weather Dog joined our News on 6 family in 2009 when we adopted him from a Tulsa shelter. He made appearances with our weather experts to teach kids about severe weather safety. Radar passed away in 2019 shortly after his retirement.
Our commitment to covering Oklahoma's wild weather is why News on 6 is the only Tulsa station with a helicopter. When severe storms threaten our area, we've got the bird's eye view no one else can match.
We figured nobody was watching, certainly not the boss. He's not watching, so we can do whatever we want.
As I just told you this morning that I was scared of spiders. And ever since then, I've been scared of spiders.
And how much should a girl pay for great jeans for her baby? She wants a man. One man wants $1 million.
See who's new on 6 in the morning.
Glad to see you. Oh, come on in here. I want you to meet all these people.
Hi, I'm Aaron.
Oh, hey, you know, because at 6 in the morning we have more news, more fun. We got the demo area over here and the news set over there, of course. All right, folks, here it is. All the money you've all been waiting for. I guess you'll have to wait till January 5th.
In 1957, a new day began on Tulsa TV. Channel 6 launched the morning variety show Sun Up. The show's first host was Bob Mills. Later hosts include Bill Hayden and Jim Hartz, who gained national notoriety as Barbara Walters' co-anchor on The Today Show. By the 1980s, Doug Dodd was waking up your day with a new program.
All that and more Monday on Tulsa Morning.
Morning TV changed for good on July 2nd, 1990, when 6 in the morning went on the air.
The program's first hosts were Rick Wells and Julie Matsko. In the early days, the broadcast was a lot more laid back, a little quirky, and sometimes off the wall.
By the time Leslie Turnbull joined Rick as co-host, there was a cast of regulars like the Soap Swami and the Night Cruiser. But in 1998, 6 in the morning welcomed an unforgettable character.
And now we're
on the same team,
doing neat things
the same
together
show
for 3 solid hours
it's
every
gonna
morning.
Be so much fun. I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be cool.
You got your work cut out for you.
Leanne Taylor has been part of the program ever since. You never knew what was going to happen with Rick and Leanne on set.
Rick left the morning show in 2002 and retired from News on 6 in 2020. Leanne recently caught up with him at the same diner where that old promo was shot.
You and I had a conversation about me coming over, and I just knew we would be either a hot mess or an excellent combination. And I think it turned out to be a little bit of both.
Rick in the morning with Leanne.
We figured nobody was watching, certainly not the boss. He's not watching, so we can do whatever we want. And so if we had a good interview going, we'd take a commercial break and come back and
talk
keep
to him
going.
some more, right? The trips. I know that you guys actually went on a bunch early on before I joined you.
Well, you went to Hawaii.
I did. That was my first assignment. I mean, I still tell people that if the only reason I took this job was the Hawaii trip, I'm okay.
It's like taking a vacation.
With us.
We went to San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember you were always looking for ways to prank whoever was co-hosting with you. And so you were always like, hey, Leanne, stand here and we'll move here. And next thing I know, that whale came out, splashed the water, and it was right in the splash zone. And I'm like, okay.
You don't want to go away.
Now, you did weather early on.
I did weather for a long time until weather got a little more important than,
Time and temp
slapstick Ricky out there,
Everybody still asks me about, hey, what's the deal?
Really?
And Big Board Sports.
The station manager, or general manager at that time, he used to come in the studio and I would be doing sports highlights on the couch, and I'd be bouncing on the couch and waving my arms around and stuff and just voicing over highlights. And he said, why don't you do that in front of the weather wall?
What's your problem?
And wave your arms and bounce around.
And Big Board Sports was born.
Yep.
The morning show is a family because partly it's in this ridiculous time.
Well, that's right. Nobody who's never worked that shift knows what that's like. They don't have a clue. They think, oh, you guys get up early. No, we get
real early.
Oh, you don't take coffee, huh?
Soap Swami,
oh,
Gary Cruz, the Night Cruiser, the Breakfast Bunch. That was what they were called.
Right.
There's a familiar face behind you. Do you dare look?
Hi. Aren't you sweet?
A fixture
Is he a
of
fixture
6 in the morning.
Still?
When we were on, it was more news, more fun, and it was mostly fun.
Oh, hey! The memories are just, they're endless.
Definitely more fun.
That's right.
Great experiences, great people, so much fun.
It was a place where I learned a bunch from people.
Sports with Harold Coons.
Okay, late break. Here's that one. Yes, that's one. That's one.
Yo, hey, yo. Weather today be warm and sunny, 70 plus, and that ain't funny.
There's a story in the face of every Oklahoman. It's the story of their spirit, a story of great plays,
and impossible odds. And it's a story that should be told by people who share that spirit, like the people of KOTV, the News on 6.
These last 75 years have been filled with victory and adversity. Through winning seasons and slumps, you've counted on our team to cover your favorite team. Maybe you remember Matt Krieger or Ken Brew. Along the way, some have made it to the big leagues of national sports broadcasting, like Dari Noka and J.B. Long. And who could forget John Walls and John Anderson?
It's going to be a great night of college basketball with all the proceeds benefiting the Tulsa Education Fund.
But the ORU promo. Right? When John made this half-court shot on cue, it was awesome. I thought, we hired the right guy, Johnny. We hired the right. He can make a half-court shot when he has to.
Well, we overlapped. The three of us were together. I mean, really, it was less than a year.
It was a place where I learned a bunch from people, whether it was John, whether it was people like watching Clayton, who in my first sportscast there, as I didn't think I was nervous, but apparently I was tapping my pen, and he just very kindly reached over and took it away from me and set it there. And after I got done, he just said, "You can have it back now."
My first official day on the job was Bedlam '95. Howard Schnellenberger is coaching OU in his lone season. We get on the elevator with about 6 minutes to go to the field, and it's a packed elevator, and you just kind of call to me across the elevator and say, "Hey, why don't you take OSU?" And I'm like, "Oh, great. My job should be easier. They're winning." But I also figured that you didn't want me to have to ask the question if it was the low point in the history of Oklahoma football, like you did of Howard Schnellenberger at press conference.
It's a very big and important loss.
I've never forgotten that.
I just love the people. Working with Clayton and Beth and Jim Giles and on the desk. Great experiences, great people, so much fun. I love the newsroom. I love the vibe. I love the attitude, and I especially love my sports bunch.
Yeah, I got you. Anyway, so I didn't get to stay forever, but it's a place I could have stayed a really long time and been happy. I don't know that I made it all 75 years, but and like every place I've ever worked, I'm so glad it's still standing despite employing me.
In August 2001, we took our coverage of traditions and rivalries statewide with the launch of the Oklahoma Sports Blitz. Since then, Sunday nights have been filled with highlights, analysis, and debate. My friend Dean Blevins has been there with me through it all. Few people can claim to be bigger fans of Oklahoma sports than Bill Tegans. Bill was sports director here in the 80s before leaving for the same job in Oklahoma City. He was the voice of the Oklahoma State Cowboys football and basketball teams. For me, he was a mentor and friend. Bill was traveling with members of OSU's basketball team when the plane carrying them crashed in January 2001. We will always remember the 10, and we will always remember Bill.
She took something so personal and has helped countless people.
There's this compassion that goes way, way, way beyond the news.
The spirit of Oklahoma, the Channel 6 we see it in everything you do. The spirit of Oklahoma is people like you.
The best journalists are the ones who never forget news is about people. Lori Fulbright has covered crime in Tulsa for 30 years. For her, it's always been about people. That's why she works hard to help Oklahoma families every week. She talks with groups about self-defense and preventing crime. She brings that same compassion as a victim's advocate. For Lori, this is more than a job. It's her mission every day.
And when they grab you from behind, put your hand on top of theirs.
Through news stories, self-defense and safety classes,
Here I want to talk to you about
and videos on social media, Lori always puts victims first.
Because I saw your video, I decided to talk to her more in depth. My daughter confided in me that her older stepbrother had been abusing her for years. That one video outed my daughter's abuse and stopped it.
When the cameras are off,
there's this compassion that goes way, way, way beyond the news.
Lori maintains relationships with countless crime victims and their families, like Maggie Zingman.
I truly love her, You know, I don't think I could have done these 20 years without her.
Maggie's daughter, Brittany Phillips, was raped and murdered in 2004 in her Tulsa apartment just days before her 19th birthday. Lori remains a constant in Maggie's life.
She has been there, and she looked into things. She's been my support.
Maggie knows she's not the only family member of a crime victim Lori keeps in touch with.
She has somehow been able, as a crime reporter, as the anchor, to, carry so many of us. She lives our stories.
Going beyond the stories with compassion that can leave a lifelong impact.
What she gives to us is a gift. It's a gift that none of us can repay.
On morning TV, we share more than the headlines. For more than 25 years, Leanne Taylor has shared laughs and tears, good times and bad. Even after her most personal struggle, Leanne shares her journey to help others.
Over the last few weeks, I'm sure a lot of you have noticed my new hairstyle, and there is a reason for the new do. It feels weird. Back in November, I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
For more than 20 years, Leanne has used her story to help others.
So when I was a morning show producer, she celebrated her 5-year anniversary, which is a big deal in the cancer world, and I remember celebrating that with her on the show.
Leanne's friend and former coworker Lindsay Roberts knows that mission extends beyond the TV screen. Lindsay was diagnosed with cancer when she was pregnant with her son.
It was so overwhelming at the time that I realized, I thought, I need to reach out to Leanne.
Though they hadn't worked together for years, Lindsay says Leanne was there for her every step of the way.
It is a huge comfort and a huge lifeline of support and strength and even peace.
Lindsay's story isn't unique. When the red light is off, Leanne spends time each week supporting, encouraging, and listening to women whose stories she knows all too well.
Her phone is open 24/7. She will talk to them. She will answer any questions.
She wants so much to give, and she cares so much about these women.
By sharing her story and being such an advocate, she has changed so many lives just through taking on this mission.
While sharing your stories is at the heart of what we do, our commitment to the Tulsa community goes beyond the headlines. For decades, you've helped us keep kids warm in the winter through our Coats for Kids program. Our partnership with the Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma helps ensure fewer children go to bed hungry. News on 6 is a sponsor of the Salvation Army's Angel Tree program, and every year, our newsroom buys gifts for Green Country children. And we always enjoy seeing you at parades and the Tulsa State Fair.
These days, News on 6 is more than a TV station. Our website has changed a lot since it launched in the 90s. What hasn't changed is our commitment to use any platform we can to keep you safe, informed, and entertained. We're everywhere you are, on your desktop, on your phone. We are with you on social media and in the car. The world is changing fast, and we'll be here to keep you connected.
After 75 years, KOTV remains an Oklahoma original.
As your locally owned station, we're proud to share your stories.
And proud to share the moments that shape us.
In the years ahead, we'll be here to help you stay safe, informed, and entertained.
Keep it here. We'll keep you advised.
Is it time to say goodbye?
I think it's time to say goodbye.
All right.
And that's our time. Thank you for yours.
This is but a transition, a passing of the baton.
It has been the privilege of a lifetime to be invited into your home in the evenings.
Remember, the more books you read, the taller you grow. Goodbye.
Thank you, and good night.
Right. Yeah. It's getting a little too crowded in here.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. Happy trails.
I won't say goodbye. I'll just say, until we meet again.
Good night, and good luck. And that's the way it is.
That's part of our world tonight.
Thank you for sharing your time.
Thank you, and good night.
"75 on 6, a celebration of Oklahoma's own, has been presented by Green Phoenix Roofing and Remodeling.